Well, it took about an hour and a half to finish the draw, but the Afcon group stage draw is finally complete. And now let's look at every single group. I'm going to give my raw reaction. Obviously, we did the live stream for the draw, but now I can give more in-depth analysis of every single group. Give your thoughts in the comments down below. Group of death, group of life. Who are the winners and losers of this draw? Because there are some fascinating groups. As always with the Afcon, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here for more Afcon content and a lot of international football content for this year. Let's go straight into it. So Group A, Morocco, Mali, Comoros, and Zambia. I think if you're the host, you're happy with this draw. It's a competitive group, not a gimme group, but you got some competitive teams. Mali, Tom Seifeld is a very good manager, but with this team, you can never trust him. As always, they are the LA Clippers of African football. You put any stock into them, they will fumble it. But Mali, maybe they're going to head into the right track heading into these Afcon. So they got the talent, people. Mali have the talent. I think Tom Seifeld is a good manager. That's a tough group, though, because Zambia were a disappointing team at the last Afcon. They underperformed. They didn't win a single game. So I think Zambia will want to improve on what they did in the last Afcon, and Comoros are back. And we know what Comoros did last Afcon. They shocked some people. And maybe they're even better than the last time they qualified to the Afcon. So I think for the host, this is a good draw because competitive games, and I think the Mali game is a good matchup because Mali want to play good, attractive football. They maybe be a little bit more defensive in that game. But I think for Morocco, it's a good draw. Now, they're going to be under pressure, and the first game is Morocco-Comoros. Can you imagine in a crazy world if Comoros win that game? Oh my God, the reaction will be crazy. But overall, do I say this is a group of death? No, I think this is like a group of life because I could easily see Zambia and Comoros upsetting Mali because that's just Mali for you at the end of the day. Let me know your thoughts, people. Group B, though. Oh boy. Egypt, South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe. Egypt. Tough draw. Tough draw for Egypt. Like, South Africa are no joke. For me, they're a top 5 team, top 6 team right now in African football. Hugo Broos is always doing a wonderful job. Mokoena is one of the best midfielders I saw at the last Afcon. This team are just so well drilled. Yeah, they don't have the stars on paper. Maybe you look at Angola and they have more players playing in Europe, and you have a center back like Bastos who just won the Copa Libertadores. But South Africa as a team are just such a good team. So if you're Egyptian, this ain't easy. And you got Angola. We saw what Angola did at the last Afcon, and the way they've been improving and the sort of football they play. They're going to be a dangerous team on the counterattack. Then you got Zimbabwe, who I think Zimbabwe could shock. Zimbabwe played a decent game against South Africa in the World Cup qualifiers. So I think South Africa and Zimbabwe, that will be a fascinating matchup to see how that game evolves compared to the last time they met up in the World Cup qualifiers. For me, this might be the group of death because you have Egypt, South Africa, Angola. You can say these 3 teams are top 10 teams right now in African football. If 3 teams out of the top 10 are in the same group of death, and then you got Zimbabwe who could shock. You never know, it could shock. I think for me, Egypt, big losers. This is not a draw you wanted. Group C, then we have the Super Eagles, Tunisia, Uganda, and Tanzania. If you're Tunisian, you prayed and you got the group of life because we know Tunisia don't have a manager right now. 2024 was a diabolical year for them. And I think if you're Nigeria, good group. Compared to the last Afcon where you got maybe the group of death with Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Ivory Coast, I think Nigerians should feel happy about this group. Eric Chile knows, okay, we can really be an attacking force in this group. And you got Uganda and Tanzania. Funny enough, those 2 countries will be hosting the next Afcon and they're going to play against each other. Then Uganda and Tanzania can really test themselves in this Afcon to prepare for the next Afcon. And Uganda and Tanzania are not bad teams, but when you're going up against Nigeria, the Super Eagles should be topping this group. If you're Uganda and Tanzania, you should be happy you got Tunisia. You can easily beat these guys at the moment, even though they're always going to be a defensively solid team. So yeah, I think Group C, maybe you could say group of life. Maybe. Group D, then you got Senegal, DR Congo, Benin, and Botswana. This should be straightforward for Senegal and DR Congo. I mean, they already have faced each other twice in the World Cup qualifiers, or once, but they're in the same group of the World Cup qualifiers. They just have too much quality for Benin and Botswana. I think for Botswana, your second ever Afcon, you didn't win a single game at the last Afcon. The goal is to beat Benin because Benin are not a great team. They're an okayish team. I think Botswana could beat a Benin. The thing for Benin is they got an experienced coach like Gernot Rohr, who's been at the Afcon before, did decently well. I think that's what Benin are going to rely on. The experienced manager of Gernot Rohr to oversee this Afcon. And for Botswana, I mean, it's a miracle they qualify for the Afcon. maybe they could shock Benin and pick up a win. And Senegal DR Congo, that's a matchup though. I think those are two teams that are really in form right now in African football, and that's a game you want to see, right? You want to watch entertaining football, and I think that's a game that can provide the entertainment with the likes of Wisa to Ndiaye, so many good players from both sides. So I think that's going to be a great matchup, and heck, maybe Botswana could shock one of them. Who knows? It's Afcon football at the end of the day. Group B though, and if you're Algerian, you got to be thinking to yourself, again Burkina Faso, again, and you're thinking to yourself, again Equatorial Guinea, and then you got Sudan. Oh, Algerians, man, I feel bad for you because this group might be the group of death. Because Algeria are a good team, improving under Petkovic. I still think they're a liability defensively, even though they've slightly improved defensively. They got the attacking firepower. That's not a problem to me. But defensively, that's why I would worry for Algeria. Then you got the Stallions. Are we ever going to downplay Burkina Faso at Afcon? No, we're not. Because if you do, you're going to pay for it. Because Burkina Faso always perform at every single Afcon they're at. Okay, maybe they didn't perform so well at the last Afcon. Still a good team. Still got some quality players like Lassina Traore, Tuotara, Tapsoba. So Algeria, Burkina Faso, they face each other again. And then Equatorial Guinea. Now here's the stat for you people. Equatorial Guinea at every single Afcon have made it to the knockout stage. You think they're going to do it again? Now, of course, there's no Emilio Nsue this time around, but they're still a good team, people. You look at the team and you're like, this guy's playing the 3rd division of Spanish football. This guy's playing the 4th division of Spanish football. And then Equatorial Guinea will stun you. So I don't think that's a matchup you want if you're Burkina Faso and Algeria. And then you got Sudan. Sudan, one of the most improved teams of 2024. They're competing in a group with Senegal and DR Congo in the World Cup qualifiers. They beat Ghana twice, or at least beat them once if memory serves me right. So that's a tough group. Any of those 4 teams can progress to the knockout stage. So if I'm Algerian and if you're Petkovic, this is specifically for Petkovic, this is going to be your welcome to Afcon moment. When you play in that first game, whoever it's against, not going to be easy. So I think any of those 4 teams can progress to the knockout stage, but I would still fancy Algeria, and I think Equatorial Guinea or Sudan can finish second. Really do. Then the last group F, we have Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Gabon, and Mozambique. Again, Ivory Coast and Gabon are in the same group for the World Cup qualifiers. You're seeing a lot of similar matchups here. Mozambique, an improving team. I think they only lost 1 or 2 games last year in the entire year. They gave a decent game to Algeria. So Mozambique are a tough team to play against. Gabon, the likes of Bouanga to Aubameyang to Mario Lemina in the midfield. So Gabon got some decent players. Cameroon, are they improving? And obviously we see the likes of Beleba to Anguissa to Mbomo, what he's doing with Brentford. And then Ivory Coast. I think this Ivory Coast team is better than the one that won the Afcon, which is crazy to say because you've got the likes of Diallo to Singo to obviously Adingra. Ivory Coast are loaded with talent. So I think that's a tricky group for you cannot be mentally prepared for any of those games. You have to be locked in or you will lose in that Group F. That Group F is tough. So overall, I would say Group B and Group B, groups of death. I mean, all 4 of those teams can make it out of the group. Okay, maybe not Zimbabwe, but maybe Zimbabwe could shock some people. But Group B, any of those teams. I think the teams that won this draw, Tunisia, Nigeria, I would say maybe Mali, because Zambia and Comoros are not the toughest, you would say, from pot 3 and pot 4. Maybe you could throw in Comoros there. The teams that lost this draw, Egypt, Algeria. You could probably throw in Cameroon there because Cameroon do not want to face Gabon and Mozambique. So let me know your thoughts, people. We have a lot of months heading into this Afcon, and we're going to have a lot of Afcon content here on the channel. So if you like that sort of stuff, remember to subscribe to the channel because this is the Afcon. They will always throw up surprises, and I'm sure we will get some surprise here. Who could be the surprise team? Maybe a team like Zimbabwe could be a surprise team. Maybe a team like Comoros could be a surprise team. Gabon could be a surprise team. Any of these teams could be surprise teams. This is the beauty of Afcon football. The surprises, the entertainment, and in a couple months' time, December 21st, Morocco versus Comoros is going to kick off this Afcon. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world, and until next time, adios.